Hey guys, welcome to episode number 495. Today is Tuesday, so I have another tank tip for you. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about staying motivated in the aquarium hobby while you are moving. Now, I've got quite a bit of experience moving with aquariums. Everyone knows it's not a whole lot of fun. Depending on how long the move is, depending on what the circumstances are in terms of where you're moving to, how much space you have, what the lease terms might be, all those sorts of things. Even if you're buying a house, you know, it doesn't always work out when you're moving your aquariums. And so what I want to do was tell a few stories about my experiences with moving with aquariums and sort of relate that to how you stay motivated, how you should think about moving and your aquariums when you're in that sort of situation. It's going to happen probably multiple times, and when you're in sort of that college age, first job sort of age range, it tends to happen a lot, like every year, and jumping from apartment to apartment can sometimes be rough. But I've kept aquariums all throughout college and then after college as well. In fact, if you go way back on my YouTube channel, one of the very first videos I did was a time-lapse construction of a guppy breeding rack. And that was actually in a basement apartment. It was one of the first apartments that I rented, and I had basically a room, a bedroom, and then there was some common space in the basement. And that's where I set up this aquarium rack, obviously with the owner's permission. And essentially what it was a bunch of cinder blocks and a 2x4 frame type construction. And it was a lot of fun to construct that. I learned a heck of a lot doing that. And that's one of the first things about moving, is it gives you opportunity to learn and to grow. When I broke that thing down and I moved on a year later, I didn't set the same thing back up. I learned from that experience, and I took all of that learning and applied it to the next tank. Now, the next place I moved, if you're familiar with some of my very old videos, the next place I moved, I created a 125-gallon turtle tank, and I did a custom 3D background installed in that turtle tank, painted it with dry lock. It looked awesome. I had turtles in there. It was a lot of fun to create that background. However, I lived on the 3rd floor of an apartment building, and somehow I managed to get enough friends together to carry a 125-gallon tank, glass tank, and a stand that I had built that was way overdone, way too heavy duty. Carry all of that up 3 flights of stairs. I still thank them to this day for their help in doing that, because it was a monumental effort, and I managed to squeak that tank into my bedroom of this apartment building, and that was an experience. That was probably the largest thing I had built to date, and again, I learned a lot from it. But when I moved, I actually kept that one, but when I moved again, I dismantled it. And so again, I've learned things along the way. When I finally settled into this house that I'm in now, I have probably been through 4 or 5 moves, and I want to say the aquarium rack system and the central sump system and all of that stuff that I've created is sort of a combination of everything that I've learned and everything that I've built along the way. The last apartment that I had before I moved into here was probably the closest I had gotten to sort of a central sump system, and that was essentially 4 40-gallon tanks lined up all in a row on their own DIY stands, and that worked out pretty well. I had them all plumbed together, and it was going pretty good, but that lease ended, and so I had to tear all of that down, and eventually I've created what a bunch of you have seen in more of my recent videos over the past few years. So again, when you're moving, treat it as an opportunity, because that's really the only positive out of it. You know, glass, acrylic, sand, substrate, gravel, live animals, all of that stuff, trying to move that, trying to transport that is a total pain in the butt. You know, if you've got like a U-Haul truck or something like that, sometimes you have to make 2 trips, one for the aquarium stuff and then one for all of your furniture. So it can end up costing you a lot of money if you sort of hold on to everything that you've constructed. And if I've sort of taken one thing away from my experiences with moving, it's don't get in over your head when you're renting. I would say always try something new, always try something different, try to iterate upon what you've created every time that you move. Don't set the exact same thing up, but also don't get in over your head in the process. If you've got a year lease, you don't necessarily want to set up 20 tanks and try to plumb them all into a central sump system, because it's going to take you 3 months out of the year lease to set that up, and at the end of the day you're going to waste a lot of time, waste a lot of money. Instead, sort of have an idea in your mind of what your dream system would look like, you know, what that aquarium would look like, or what that fish room would look like, and try to learn all of the elements and aspects of that system that you have in your mind, and build parts of it when you're in sort of apartment type situations. But if you have the goal of owning a house and someday having a basement and setting up a fish room, save a lot of your money and save a lot of your resources for you know, the time when you're actually able to move into that place and create you know, that dream system. Again, that's not to say don't set up an aquarium in an apartment. I think it's probably one of the best things you can do in an apartment. It really stretches the boundaries on you know, interpreting leases, which is always a lot of fun. And I can definitely say for sure that I've gotten in a little bit of trouble in the past with leases and landlords and all of that stuff, but it's all worked out okay. I mean, no one's gotten evicted, so that's a good thing. And now that I own my own place, I can basically make my own rules and do whatever I want, as long as I stay in the basement. That's the one rule the wife has: stay in the basement. So as you're thinking about moving, and as you're thinking about what aquariums you're taking, what aquariums you're going to let go, what animals you're keeping, and what animals you need to sell off to, you know, the local stores or on Craigslist or whatever to help lighten the load when you move, just always think about, you know, what's the next step? How do I become a better hobbyist? Is it setting up the same tank, or is it moving on to something new, learning something new? And as long as you're constantly improving as you keep moving, I think that's the most important part. And for me, I think moving is really the catalyst to making that happen. It's really easy to set something up and then take care of it, but then not move forward, right? If you have space for one tank and you've set it up and it's running and you just live in that place for a set period of time, you know, there's not a whole lot going on there, and you're not really pushing your own boundaries. However, if you have to tear that tank down every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, whatever it is, when you set it up, you've learned things, and you're going to apply that the next time you set it up. So, you know, if you don't move, you know, things tend to stay the same, and that can actually be a bad thing in the long run. So I would say set up an aquarium as soon as you can, and every time you move, learn a little bit of something and apply that to your next system. Anyways, guys, hope that helps. Hope you enjoyed the little stories, and I hope you can definitely see that advice can go a long way towards pushing you as a hobbyist to be better and to create the system of your dreams when the time is right. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.